Hello, my name is Jasmine Burns, and today we will be reviewing the data overview piece for Hapeville Elementary. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time and attention. The purpose for this data overview is to gain understanding of the state of student achievement in literacy at Hapeville Elementary and how it compares to Fulton County student achievement, as well as the state of Georgia student achievement. To utilize the data to understand the success of the current initiatives that are in place at Hapeville Elementary, and to formulate the effective next steps that will support the continuous achievement at Hapeville Elementary. Let's take a look at our student demographic data in order to gain a better insight of the students that we serve here at Hapeville Elementary. As shown, student enrollment has been broken down by gender over the last 3 years. Throughout the 3 years, the student enrollment has been steady, and if fluctuated, it has not been by a large amount. The female population has consistently been larger than our male population, with the 2014-15 school year having the closest male to female ratio. Later on in this overview, I will note how programs can be put in place to support these numbers. Enrollment by race and ethnicity reflect Hapeville's community in the sense it shows its high Hispanic Latino population. However, I would have suspected a higher Caucasian representation, being that Caucasians make up 33% of Hapeville's citizens' population according to the census data. Nevertheless, this is a decent reflection of Hapeville's location, being that the school is located in central Fulton County, Hapeville City community. Now, taking a look at the student socioeconomic makeup at Hapeville Elementary, the numbers have been consistent here as well, especially between the years 2016 and 2017. What's interesting here is that all 3 years identify Hapeville's entire student population as being part of an economically disadvantaged household. This correlates with the school's community and demographics. The median household income is significantly lower compared to the median income in the United States, Georgia, Fulton County, and other metro Atlanta areas such as Sandy Springs, Georgia, also noted by current census data. Again, noting the aforementioned socioeconomic statuses of Hapeville Elementary's population, the percentage of students who receive free and reduced lunch aligns directly with those trends, with 100% of students receiving this support during the 2015-2016 school year and the 2016-2007 school year. These 2 years were an increase from 2014-2015 school year, where 95% of students were receiving free and reduced lunch. In comparison to many other schools within Fulton County, Hapeville is noted for having the relatively high mobility rate. There was a decline from 23% to 19% back in 2015. These shifts correspond to transient trends and local housing developments that have occurred over the last few years. As far as educational programs at Hapeville, I've noted the early intervention programs, special education, English to speakers of other languages or ESOL, and gifted programs were offered to support students. Between 2014 and 2016, the trends remained the same. What's interesting here is in 2016, students receiving special education services increased significantly from 0% to 15%. This corresponds to the decrease in students in the regular general ed setting. This data also reflects the high population of English language learners and the support put in place to assist these students. ESOL has maintained the highest percent of students than any of the other programs offered at Hapeville Elementary. Considering the student makeup and high mobility rate at Hapeville, the implementation of attendance incentives have proven to be successful, as attendance percentages have remained consistent over the last 3 years with only minor shifts. Now that we've taken a look at the student makeup, let's dive into the teachers that support our students here at Hapeville. As you can see, the male to female ratio is very similar to that of students, with there being 66 of the 76 teachers female during the 16-17 school year. In this year, male teachers increased by 4 from the previous 2 years. The race and ethnicity does not reflect the overall population of the students at all at Hapeville. With the majority of students being of the Hispanic Latino population, it is surprising the population of Hispanic teachers has been significantly low and remained at the same status for all 3 years. Nevertheless, the makeup of the teachers being African American and Caucasian with minor shifts over the years align with the geographical location and socioeconomic trends of Hapeville. As it pertains to credentials, over all 3 years observed, the data indicates the majority of teachers have had either a 4-year bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Speaking to teachers' experience, teachers with 1 to 10 years of experience has consistently been the dominant category over the last 3 years, with teachers having 11 to 20 years of experience following closely behind. From the data, Hapeville shows a trend of staffing experienced teachers. It would also be interesting to see if the credentials of the teachers align with the teacher and the teaching experience. The 2014-2015 school year was the first year for the Georgia Milestones Assessment. Because of this, it is important to take into consideration that it was also a non-critical year and was not an indicator of student promotion or retention. We will briefly look at the trends of students ranking as beginning learners, developing learners, proficient learners, and distinguished learners over the last 3 years. During its first year of implementation, we can see that there was a consistent percentage of students who ranked as beginning learners across all subject areas. There were very few, if any, distinguished learners during this year. During the 2015-16 school year, there were small shifts made. However, they seem to be more negative than positive. For example, there was an increase in beginning learners in the areas of math, science, and social studies. Seeing this was a critical year, it seems as though teachers had yet to understand how to align instructional practices to support expectations within the assessment. Here we can see the other developing learners increase across subject areas. However, this correlates to the decrease in proficient learners. The 2016-17 school year presented some small positive shifts. This is the year where instructional technology was introduced and could have contributed to the shifting of traditional pedagogical practices and personalized learning. This was also the year instructional coaches were introduced, and Hapeville received a literacy coach and a math coach. There was a tremendous decrease in beginning learners in ELA and math. There were gains in students who were ranked as developing and proficient, with the exception of social studies reverting back to having a higher percentage of beginning learners. Now let's take a closer look at how students at Hapeville ranked against the district and state within each subject area, starting with ELA. Overall, percentages have decreased over the 3 years in the category of beginning learners, yet in the same category has remained significantly higher compared to district and state data. When we focus on our distinguished learners, we can see the trend of having a low percentage has stayed the same throughout all 3 years. Trends look differently for mathematics. Across all 3 years, the percentage of developing and proficient learners were higher than that of ELA. What's interesting to note is that students at Hapeville continue to perform at a lower level than compared to the students within the state and district. This could be due to size of Fulton County's district, the varying degrees of student demographics, teacher experience, and socioeconomic statuses of the schools within all of those communities. Again, here we see the same trends continue. Hapeville continues to perform under that of their state peers and their district peers. The important thing to note here is Hapeville students, when compared to students in the state and the district, performed around the same level in science in the category of developing learners. Taking a look at social studies, the data that is reflected shows no significant changes between the years of 2014-2015 over all categories. What is striking is the category of beginning learner increase, developing learners decrease, along with proficient and distinguished learners as well. Because Hapeville's main goal is to improve its literacy achievement across the school, we will look at student achievement data related to Students' Developmental Reading Assessment, or DRA levels, for 2017. In August, we assessed 720 students, and in December of 2017, we assessed 724 students. During the time of December, we experienced a decrease of below-level readers with an increase in both on-level and above-level readers. What would be interesting to find out is what was adjusted instructionally that contributed to the improvement over the time. With 3rd and 5th grade being critical years, we will focus on how students perform during these times. Here we can see the continuous shift between below-level and above levels reading within each administration. Interesting things happen once we get to 4th grade. Note how groups August and December have very high percentages of below-level readers. Though there were small shifts between this time, there was still a higher percentage of below-level readers. There are several implications that could answer why there was such drastic shifts between 3rd and 5th grades. Although 5th grade students show a high percentage of below-level readers, nonetheless, it was not as high as 4th grade. It would be interesting to observe the class makeup, teacher performance, and grade level makeup between grades 3, 4, and 5. With all data observed, let's take time to reflect on some of the trends that were noted within the data overview. Here are some things to consider. The heavy Hispanic population, which is about 70% or more of students within Hapeville. The strong ESOL population, and the possibility of language barriers. The focus on personalized learning should also be considered. Socioeconomic statuses is something that should be considered because we have a very strong population, 100%, of economically disadvantaged students. These students could very well lack resources beyond school or not be aware of how to utilize the resources that they do have access to during school, and continue academic support beyond school. Another thing to consider is the lack of Hispanic teachers. How are our teachers trained to support those who have or those of English language learners? And an increase in the access to technology is something else to consider. Questions to answer. How many ESOL teachers are available at Hapeville? What tools and strategies are being used to address literacy deficits? Have additional supports been put in place to assist with the English language learner population? What programs are in place to help improve beginning and developing learners so that they can move to proficient learners? What programs are in place to enrich those students at the proficient level? And enrollment trends consistently show a larger female population. Are there programs in place that support those female learners? Lastly, looking forward, we should try to strive to align instructional practices or instructional frameworks to support the effective use of technology, implement programs or technology tools such as Nearpod EL to help support the unique ESOL population at Hapeville Elementary in all content areas, and implement coaching cycles of support where teachers are able to safely implement strategies based on student data. Again, this is Hapeville Elementary School Data Overview presented by Jasmine Burns. Thank you for your time.